President Emerson Mnangagwa's grip on power in Zimbabwe has become increasingly controversial. Once hailed as a reformist following the ouster of Robert Mugabe in 2017, Mnangagwa now faces mounting criticism for perpetuating the very authoritarianism and corruption he once vowed to dismantle. His alleged involvement in historical atrocities, refusal to delegate authority, and association with powerful cartels have created a political climate where relinquishing power is not just undesirable, it may be impossible. Gukurahundi, a legacy of atrocity. Mnangagwa's political career is indelibly linked to the Gukurahundi massacres of the 1980s. As State Security Minister under Mugabe, Mnangagwa was part of the apparatus that oversaw the deployment of the North Korean-trained 5th Brigade, which targeted the Ndebele and Kalanga populations in Matabeleland and Midlands. Estimates suggest that over 20,000 civilians were killed in what many scholars and human rights organizations have labeled genocide. Despite decades of silence, Mnangagwa launched public hearings in 2024 to address Gukurahundi. However, critics argue that these efforts are performative and lack accountability, especially since Mnangagwa has consistently denied personal involvement and blamed unnamed detractors for the violence. Survivors and civil society groups have expressed skepticism, viewing the initiative as a political maneuver to sanitize his legacy rather than a genuine reconciliation effort. The Zvigananda cartels, corruption and capture. Mnangagwa's presidency has been marred by allegations of deep entanglement with the so-called Zvigananda cartels, networks of politically connected businessmen accused of looting state resources. Key figures include Kudakwashe Tagwire, Wicknell Chivayo, and George Guvamatanga, who have allegedly laundered billions through real estate and phantom companies, and even engaged in arms deals to prepare for internal conflict. Vice President Constantino Chiwenga has attempted to expose these cartels, presenting dossiers calling for arrests. Mnangagwa's administration, however, responded by accusing Chiwenga of plotting a coup, effectively shielding the accused businessman from prosecution. This response has led many to believe that Mnangagwa is not merely complicit, but actively protecting these networks to maintain his political and financial stronghold. Refusal to delegate power. Mnangagwa's reluctance to delegate authority to his vice presidents, particularly Chiwenga, underscores his fear of losing control. Even during absences, Mnangagwa avoids appointing acting presidents, a move that has fueled speculation about internal distrust and a looming succession crisis. The rift between Mnangagwa and Chiwenga, once allies in the 2017 coup, has deepened. Chiwenga's absence from key state functions and Mnangagwa's increasing security paranoia, such as avoiding helicopter travel, suggest a breakdown in trust and a fear of internal threats. Analysts warn that this power struggle could destabilize governance and provoke unrest. The 2030 Agenda, a constitutional coup. In October 2025, ZANU-PF formally endorsed a resolution to extend Mnangagwa's term to 2030, despite constitutional limits that mandate his departure in 2028. The party, which holds a 2/3 majority in Parliament, has directed the government to initiate legislative amendments to facilitate this extension. Legal experts argue that such changes would require 2 national referendums, making the process constitutionally complex and politically volatile. Nonetheless, Mnangagwa's allies are pushing forward, framing the extension as necessary for continuity and stability. Critics, however, see it as a blatant power grab designed to shield Mnangagwa and his associates from accountability. Too guilty to go. Mnangagwa's continued rule is not merely a political choice, it is a necessity for self-preservation. His legacy is stained by historical atrocities, his administration is entangled with corrupt cartels, and his refusal to delegate power reveals a deep-seated fear of retribution. The push to extend his term to 2030 is not about national development, it is about survival. Zimbabwe stands at a crossroads. The consolidation of power under Mnangagwa threatens democratic institutions, undermines the rule of law, and perpetuates a culture of impunity. If the country is to move forward, it must confront the past honestly, dismantle entrenched corruption, and restore constitutional integrity. Until then, Mnangagwa remains too guilty to leave power, and too powerful to be held accountable. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe.